Is your gym bro suffering from flaccid muscle contractions? Is he spending significantly less time mirroring at the gym lately? Are the amount of gym selfies to new puppy photos significantly less? Sometimes, the best thing to do is admit when your bro is turning to dough. That's where Erectadol comes in. Erectadol can reflate even the sorriest of physiques. Common side effects may include hallucinations, increased gambling, uncontrollable erections, trouble swallowing, runny nose, blindness, dizziness, gonadal discharge, gas with oily stool, bloody hemorrhoids, back knee, excessive hairy brows, fishy halitosis, boils, open sores, genital skin tags, leaky nipples, constipation, violent flatulence, psychotic clown nightmares, loss of appetite, dark urine, jaundice, explosive diarrhea, rectal bleeding, fever, chills, body aches, joint stiffness, bone pain, fatal internal bleeding, and imminent death. I'm Dr. Integrity and I approve this drug. When you're tired of anal bleeding and erectile dysfunction, head on over to mapsfitnessproducts.com. Fitness products that actually work.
If you want to pump your body and expand your mind, there's only one place to go. Mind Pump. Mind Pump with your hosts, Sal DiStefano, Adam Schaefer, and Justin Andrews.
In this motherfucking episode,
Shit. Yeah.
of the Mind Pump, for the first 48 minutes, we have our introductory conversation. We start out by talking about my son's school project. He's starting a podcast.
So cool.
He cusses on it and everything, just like Mind Pump. I told him, I said,
Mind Pump Junior.
Yeah, I said, just be crude. They'll love it. Trust me. Your
you're
eighth grade teacher will love it.
High scores all the way across.
Then we talk again about the Netflix show Big Mouth. Brilliant writing.
I'm getting caught up to Sal.
Oh, it's so hilarious. We talk about Adam's Instagram Q&A and his little skerfuffle.
Yeah. Skerfuffle.
With Bradley Martin. It wasn't a scuffle. It was more of a skerfuffle.
Yeah, it was a skerfuffle.
Yeah, it's kind of like a friendly back and forth.
Yeah.
We talk about
cheeky.
The horrible traffic in the San Jose area and changing the way we travel and shop. And one of the leaders in changing the way we shop and consume products is Thrive Market. They are the largest online retailer of non-GMO organic food and products, including animal products, skincare products. Stuff gets delivered to your door in like 48 hours. The prices are lower.
Cleaning products.
Oh, it's lower than you'll find at Whole Foods or anywhere else. Great place. We are sponsored by them. If you go to thrivemarket.com/mindpump, they're going to give you a month free membership and 25% off your first order. Remember, that's included at the end of your shopping experience. Then we talk about the rise of the robots. We're terrified.
Oh, man.
And we mentioned
Terminators.
Skinny dipped almonds. Adam talks about his strategies on how to not overeat these delicious, somewhat healthy snacks.
You got to consider that.
Now, we are sponsored by Skinny Dipped as well. If you go to skinnydipped.com, enter the code MindPump, you'll get 20% off your order. And then we talk about scary movies.
Oh, boy.
Then we get into the questions. The first question was, this person's a personal trainer and is against group classes but wants to start boot camp classes because it's a great way to monetize. How do they not feel like a hypocrite? We talk about boot camp, the benefit of boot camp classes, how to run proper boot camp classes.
I like
and how
boob classes.
Yeah, boob classes.
Those are my favorite.
You like that Freudian slip?
Yeah.
And then the next question was, what would we say are the pros and cons of going into business alone or with partners? What is our experience of working with each other? How much do we like each other? How much do we hate each other? Is it working? Is it not working?
All of the above.
Find out. Next question was, how do we approach isolation exercises with really low reps? Like, should you just do compound movements with really low reps, or do isolation movements have benefits with really low reps? You know, like lateral raises, skull crushers, curls, that kind of stuff. And the final question, what do we think of the fat-burning supplements CLA and L-carnitine? Are they a waste of money, or are they beneficial to invest in? Also, this month, October, MAPS Aesthetic, our bodybuilder, physique competitor, and bikini competitor Inspire program, the program that's dedicated entirely to getting your body to look aesthetic and help you shape your own body based on what areas you think you need to focus on, is half off. 50% off MAPS Aesthetic. Go to mapsblack.com and make sure to use the code BLACK50, BLACK, the number 50, no space. You'll get 50% off at checkout. And if you want to check out our other MAPS programs, and our bundles where we combine MAPS programs and discount them, make sure to go check out mapsfitnessproducts.com.
Justin's first.
You guys.
First.
I don't even have this attached yet.
God.
Trying to get our Thrive Market ready.
God, jeez, man. Who invited the new guy?
Yeah. That's
Who
it.
invited the new guy
He
today?
hates, it's funny, Justin was that kid that you could probably get Justin to do anything if you timed him and told him it was a race. You know what I'm saying?
Dude, why do you think I hate CrossFit so much?
Really?
I'll race you to the corner.
I'm like that guy that just gets suckered into that. You know?
Were you like that as a kid? Like if your dad's
100%.
like, your dad's like, okay, I got the stopwatch.
yeah.
Let's see how fast you can wash my car. Go.
Like, your brother already finished. No, he did it. You know, I'm just like hustling it as fast as I can.
it just
Trick him
works.
into doing chores.
Bro.
Every time.
By the way, that's a very effective way of getting your kids to do shit.
I do it to my youngest. He's got I don't know if it's a younger characteristic because I was the younger son.
Right,
you know,
trying to
but
keep
I was
up with the older brother.
Always trying to outdo my brother. Always.
Yeah,
that's so great.
I do it on my kids. I do that on my. Well, it doesn't work on my boy anymore, of course. Now he's too old. My daughter, now she just gets mad. Don't time me because if I time her, then she's compelled.
So much pressure.
Yeah, because then she's compelled. But when they were younger, it was hilarious. I'd be like, "Oh, everybody, you ready? Let's see how fast you can clean up your toys. Go!" And I'd pretend like I'm watching the clock, and they'd be going all fast and hustling.
Yep.
10 seconds left. Ugh, I don't care.
10 seconds.
You make a game out of it, right?
It's weird. It's a funny thing about human. It still works on Justin though, apparently.
I mean, not with everything, so don't get all excited.
Yeah. Dude, I forgot to tell you guys.
What?
So my son is part of his homework in one of his classes. Guess what he has to do?
What?
Record a podcast.
What?
Yes.
No way.
His teacher?
Yes.
Dude,
suggested that?
how great is it? You're going to let him come in here. He's going to have like super
way.
great quality.
Well, so I thought about it.
Come on, dude. That's part of being a dad. That's a podcast. You
It's
got to
like
hook
this,
him up.
Dude, we're going to overhand all the other students.
Hold on a second. Relax.
Doug's gonna-
Squash them
Doug's
in their
gonna
place.
Doug's going to produce it up, throw
Oh
some
my
sound
God.
effects.
No, he
They
has
have no
to,
chance.
He has to do it. He has to do it. I'm gonna
Come
do it for him.
on.
Hold on. Let me finish with it. So he did. So first of all, the episode needs to be under 3 minutes. So there's not really much he can do in 3 minutes. He needs to interview 2 people, which he already did. And the interviews he did with his buddies were in the pavilion or whatever, the school where everybody's doing it. So that's already been done. But what I am doing is I'm coaching him through the intro, the transition, the outro. And it's so funny. So I told him, so I had him listen to our podcast and how it starts, with the music
oh my
or whatever.
God. Yeah.
And so I said, let me intro your show. Like I'm a dude introducing, you as the host of the new pod, whatever. He calls the podcast The Singularity, by the way. How cool is
The
that?
Singularity.
It's a tech podcast. And the question he's asking his friends, he's asking his friends, do you think gaming, like video gaming or whatever, should be considered a sport? And so we got 2 people. One guy answered yes, and one
Dude,
guy
these
answered
kids
no.
are smart as fuck, man.
Yeah.
I would not think to be doing shit like that and asking questions like that.
Well, so it's pretty
very, very intelligent.
So it's really cool, right? So I did the intro for him, like, welcome to the Singularity Podcast, and here's your host, whatever. So he's gonna slap
The robots are going to kill us all.
So he has this. It's a tech podcast. How great is that name?
Yeah.
So he has.
I know.
There's this program that they're all required to use to edit it. So, because I thought, oh shit, can we do it? My son, so I guess he knows about this stuff already. He's like, this is a crap program. We could totally use. He named us some other stuff. And I'm like, I don't even know that stuff. But anyway, he has to edit it himself and do all that other stuff on his own. So,
bro, you have to still let him come in and use the studio.
So
he could still do
I want
it
to jump in on his podcast.
So it's recorded through
Spice it
his
up.
computer. I don't know how we would do that. I was thinking about it. I was thinking about bringing him over here and, having him use the mics and, be able to put it through their program.
The kid is getting ready to do a project about podcasting. His dad is a famous podcaster. How could you not?
If I was a carpenter and they had a project to build a little mini house, you don't think that would be like a little mansion?
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Elevators.
Yeah.
No,
even so, it's what you do.
So
it's what you do for a living. Like that's just for a kid. That's got to be such a cool thing.
I know. So I'm
you got to hook him up with the fucking best sound and the best everything.
Well, I'm working.
He can still do it himself.
Here's the thing. Exactly. Because I'm fighting the urge. Every parent has this urge when you have your kids do projects, especially as they get older, where you want to do it literally for them. Like, no, that's not how
Yeah.
That's not how he's going to learn. He has to do it on his own. But I am involved. I am coaching him, and it's a nice bonding experience. And I'm having him listen to segments of our podcast so he can see what to do. So what we did already is I recorded the little short intro, And then he introduces himself. So this is part of his show. And he wrote the script and he's reading it off. And I'm listening to him like, oh, he's got some confidence. Like the way he the way he's doing it, I'm like, that's not bad.
Yeah.
That's pretty good. I see a little bit of talent there.
That's why I think it would be cool to get him in here and start I mean, how cool would it be to help produce like the first like kid podcast and your son ends up being like a podcast host?
Well, I'm thinking.
Come on,
yeah.
dude.
Well, I'm thinking is what I may want to do is have him come in here and do the parts where he's on his own in here because the sound is so good. But the recording of the interviews, they are the way they are because they were his friends. You know what I mean? Right. So unless we schedule time for them all to come in, but it's probably not going to happen.
They do all that on campus.
I would totally be game for that. I think it would be cool to have him come in here with his. How cool would that be? No,
it's just funny. It's in our space.
His friend is sitting in like one of the chairs. And
dude. How cool!
It's only 3 minutes. So and this is the problem. We're doing an intro, him introducing himself, and then we have one interview in between. He's going to do a transition. Okay, so that was me talking to whatever. And, his opinion was this, my next guest, his opinion's a little bit different. Let's see what you agree with or whatever. He's going to come up with his own, transition. Then he goes to the next one and then the outro. There's not a lot of room. 3 minutes is nothing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Anyway.
I still
think it's cool, right?
It's way cool.
What I find cool about it is that his school is having them make a podcast.
No, it's amazing. Like that's just showing that it's becoming more relevant, in the public.
Yes, it's not. At some point you would make a radio show or something back in the day or whatever in school. It's not like that anymore.
Yeah,
and this is part of their homework is that they have to learn how to record this podcast. If you look at the sheet, it says all the stuff that helps them get a good grade, which is no sound in the background, good voice, projection. You'd have to be on topic. Like I'm reading this thing and I'm like, well, this teacher has a good idea of what podcasting is really like. Then they have to edit it themselves. So they have to figure out how to do cut the clips and edit them and put them together and slap the intro at the beginning and the outro at the end. Fucking great, man. How cool is that?
It's way cool.
Yeah. So exciting.
How neat is that, though? That was it almost 4 years ago now when we were all sitting around talking about podcasting. And I remember when we first started, and if I told somebody about, like most people I'd say podcasting, they're like, I have no idea what that even was.
I know.
Much less do I listen to one.
It's like the worst name. If you think about it, it's like pod, like iPod and pod and like podcast. I was like, what the fuck is that? Like, just why don't they just call it like online radio?
Well, I think they're trying to like broadcast, right? Yeah. They're trying to play on that word. It's not broadcast in the same way. It's a pod, I guess. Cast.
It is a stupid name.
It's a dumb name.
It's a dumb name.
Yeah. What would you guys call it?
Probably, I don't know, internet radio.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. It's something simple.
Yeah. I don't know, something along those lines. I think it's just
digital talking,
unfiltered talking,
digital talk radio.
Computer voices.
Even that sounds better. Digital talk radio.
Digital radio.
Yeah,
it's a digital radio.
You know what? The thing about radio, though, when you say radio, it's a nice throwback.
It's a formula.
But at the same time, I think for a while there was a little bit of competition, but now there's no more competition. We know what's happening in radio.
They all have their own podcasts on the side.
Radio, you guys ever listen to radio?
Yeah, it's hilarious.
It's terrible.
They were making a joke on Big Mouth about that. Did you see that scene?
What was it? What did
IIFA.
No, there was a scene where she's like listening to the radio, and the radio guy's like, "If you're listening to this, you must be." And he gave like 2 places, and I started laughing. They're like the most like you think about it, you're like, "Oh my god, those are like the only places that someone would be playing radio."
Dude,
still,
you're probably a truck driver.
Yeah, that show exactly. I think that's one of the things he said. Yeah. That show, Big Mouth, has to be the most brilliant writing I've ever seen that captures adolescence so intelligently.
You have to have a dark
characterizes the whole thing.
It's just so smart.
You have to have a dark sense of humor in order to get through the crudeness of it to understand and see the brilliance.
Yeah,
because
it kind of has to be crude.
Yeah,
I mean, going through that process was awkward as fuck.
I agree with you, but I'm just saying that the average person, if you don't have crude humor or you don't have a dark sense of humor, it could turn you off right away, and you won't get into the show enough to see like the brilliance behind it. Mm-hmm. I 100% think it's a brilliant show, but boy, do this season they push the boundaries.
It's so smart because what they did is they took the guy who wrote it. I know Nick Kroll.
There's Nick Kroll, creator. And then there's the other Delaney. I'm
not sure.
Delaney. He's another comedian.
And it was so smart because what they did is they took adolescence, and they have these cartoon characters, and they have a hormone monster that is like their buddy. But that is a brilliant way for them to separate and explain what your hormones do to you at that age. And so for the guys, it's like this really horny, filthy, terrible hormone monster that says the most inappropriate, terrible shit.
Wants to jerk off to everything.
Everything. It's just terrible, right? But they characterize it so well with this monster. And then the girl's hormone monster makes her like angry at her mom and
super emotional. Like,
what the fuck's going on with me? And then one of the girls is like has this poster of this like romance novel guy who's like 40-something years old, and she just envisions him like, I love speaking to you all night long and listening to what and it's like it's so accurate. And then they have a shame wizard that shows up in season 2 who, as an adolescent, can you remember feeling shameful for all these weird feelings that you would get?
Of course.
Yeah.
It was so good.
No, it's well written. It really is. It's not just a crude show, but it will come off that way if you don't have that sense of humor. I think we all have a dark sense of humor, so because I'm watching it sometimes, I'm like, oh,
whoa.
Like Katrina and I we were watching last night, and we're laying in bed, and she's like, are you still watching this right now? And I'm like, yeah, no, I'm watching it. We just hadn't laughed. I was like so intently watching how far they were pushing the limits. I was like, oh my God.
You're right, though. If you get past all the crudeness, like there was I'll pause the episodes a few times and I'll stop and I'll look at Jessica and I'll be like, so brilliant how they captured. Like there's a scene in season 2, you haven't got there yet, but they do this school retreat where all the kids, how schools do this, where they go spend the night somewhere and the kids are all in sleeping bags or whatever. And each one of the kids has a shame wizard or the same shame wizard. And although all the kids are different, they all feel insecure about something and they capture it so fucking well. Like there's the gay kid who doesn't feel like he belongs with the boys or the girls. And then there's the popular girl and her shame wizard. And then there's the one kid that goes through puberty quickly and he's really big and already kind of mature, but he feels awkward and embarrassed by it. And then there's that one boy who still hasn't gone through puberty, and he's embarrassed about that. And it's like all these different things. Like, whoa, you realize, we all kind of feel the same shit when we're going through that age, even though we think we're the only ones.
Right.
So good.
No, it's
so
good.
smart.
It is good,
dude. So what's were you in a mood or something last night?
Why? What?
We saw you do that whole like Q&A thing.
People love when I do that.
Yeah, but you were firing some shots across the bow there. What were you doing?
Letting them fly.
Are you talking about the Bradley Martin jab?
Yeah, what's going on?
A little bit.
I was being a little bit of a dick. All right, I'll admit that. I was talking to Katrina last night. We were watching the football game, which, side note, that was a crazy game last night.
Is this where your TV is downstairs now?
Yeah, it's downstairs.
Damn, I was actually watching it and didn't finish it. Like,
are you kidding me? You didn't finish that game?
No, because I was out.
I want to punch you in the dick right now, dude. That was it. You know what that ended up being? A 43-40 game. Dude.
Oh my God!
It was insane with a last minute Green Bay and the Niners. And then,
who won?
So the Green Bay won, but let me tell you why it was such an intense game for me, and I'll get to the Bradley Martin thing in a second. But so I bet a 3-team teaser this last weekend. So I bet on football every weekend. I was minus 600 going into the Monday night game, or excuse me, into the Sunday night game. And so I'm down 600. I bet progressively. So if I'm down and I've lost 2 bets in a row, I keep doubling up the bet. So I've got a 2,000. I'm laying 2,000 down on a 3-team teaser. What that means is I need all 3 of those to hit. Now, the advantage to someone who's betting, it allows me to manipulate the points. So the Vegas comes up with the odds, and when you're betting 3 things, you're allowed to tease the points up or down 6 points. So I took that Sunday night. It was the Chiefs game, and I took the over. And I took the Chiefs to cover, and that was kind of the nervous bet that I had. And then I had Green Bay and the Niners for my 3rd bet, and that was going to be my lock bet because I was able to tease the Green Bay Packers to give them a plus point. So the Packers were supposed to roll the Niners. That was supposed to be my quote-unquote lock bet.
No, man.
So I
made a fight out of it.
Oh, man, I win the first 2 bets. I'm going into Monday night already talking about my win. Like I've got this in the bag. Like there's no way. Niners are banged up. They got a backup quarterback right now.
Beat hard.
Dude.
Is that how you pronounce it?
No, it's Bethard, right?
Yeah,
Bethard, I think.
I just read it as beat hard every time. It's like, wow.
So the Niners come
there.
out leading. They're like leading the whole game. Yeah. And I'm like stressed as fuck. I was like, this was a guaranteed lock. I'm going to lose $2,000 on these damn Niners because they're playing the best game of their life all of a sudden with their backup quarterback.
Well, it's Monday night. You gotta perform.
But anyways, they win. I won, so it was cool.
So you won $2,000.
So I bet $2,000 to win $1,500. So I won $1,500. I was down $600. So whatever was
lunch on Adam.
$900, whatever. So.
Yeah.
Anyways, so I'm into the game, and then all of a sudden, like, I'm intently texting back and forth, and Katrina's like, "Who are you talking to right now?" I'm like, "Oh, I'm talking to Bradley." She goes, "Martin?" And I go, "Yeah." I said, she goes, "Why? What about?" Because she could tell that I was going back and forth with him. And I was like, "Well, I was kind of a dick." She's like, "Why would you be a dick to him?" I'm like, "Well, he kind of pissed me off." And she's like, "What do you mean he pissed you off?" And I'm like, "Well," I said, I don't know. I said, maybe I don't know, maybe he bruised my ego a little bit. She's like, "Come on. You let some young guy like that bruise your ego?" She goes, "I ain't buying it. What's the deal?" And I go, "Well, I don't know what it is. Maybe it's like I'm more judicious about my time. And so there's just not a lot of people that I have the opportunity to communicate with via text." And what I mean by this is we've been blessed and honored to have now probably in the hundreds, right? We're probably close to over 100 people, I believe, that we've had come through this show. Yeah. And many of them I've built really good relationships with. And many of them I wish I had more of a relationship with. I just don't. It's impossible. I've never in my life been in this position where I feel like there's these brilliant people that are amazing that I want more of them, and we're on this text.
There's no space.
And there's just no space. There's no time. So
I feel the same.
So I told her, I said, maybe it's because my ego was bruised because he didn't respond to a text message that I sent to him. And I sent him a really heartfelt text message in regards to what he was going through and his last YouTube video that he had done like a week or two ago.
Bro, you're like when a girl texts a guy, like her boyfriend, and he's say goodnight.
And that's what Katrina was giving. Katrina was giving me a hard time.
Love you.
Because she goes, it comes off that way when you do that. And I said, no, I get that, and I said, and I know that I poked him in an area that I know that he identifies with his persona that he has built on social media. So I know to attack him or poke him on social media really probably was going to sting a little bit. And I did, and he definitely responded to me right away and stuff like that.
You guys make up?
Yeah, we're cool. Like we were fine. But I think I acted out because my ego was bruised over that. And it is. It's simply because, listen, I mean, there's other people I could be texting and talking to that I think that it selfishly would be good to be in my life more. But the reason why I have a soft spot for him is because I see much of myself in him. We have a very similar childhood story. He's about 10 years younger than I am. I see a lot of the things that he's going through, and I have compassion for that. And I believe that I've been rewarded and blessed with all the relationships that we've had come through here, and I've selfishly been able to consume a ton of people and a ton of information, and because of that, I feel the desire to give back to some people. And when I meet people that I feel I have something to give to them, I feel compelled, and I think that I was irritated because he didn't value that, and so I acted out like a child. And I poked at him on Instagram, because I know that, like, for me, like, I don't think it was, like I said, he was on my shit list, right? Like, on my Insta story, somebody, and it all would happen fast. It wasn't like this methodical.
It sounded more cheeky than anything else.
Right, okay, so thank you.
I'll be honest.
I felt like I thought I did it in a playful way. It wasn't like, I wasn't trying to.
No.
Yeah, and he took it.
Didn't come across as malicious.
He took it like I was trying to really, attack his character, and I was like, no. First of all, I tagged him. I tagged him knowing that he was going to read it. If I was talking shit about somebody like that, well, first of all, I would never talk shit about somebody and not tell them to their face. It's just not my style. But I wasn't. It was more, he's on my shit list. What is that? Like something your dad says to you, your kid, right? And that's what I told him. I said, no, don't think of it like that. I said, think of it kind of like an older brother slapping you on the back of the head.
That's what it was.
And that's what I said. What I said.
Yeah, that made a lot
great comparison. Yeah.
No, he was definitely upset. I mean, he went back and forth with me for a while on text message. But I'm just like, listen, kid. Like, I don't have the time to, and I know you're a busy fuck too. Like, I understand he's busy. And so, I think it was over a week and a half before, I had said something for him not like responding. And it's probably only because I took the time to write something heartfelt. It wasn't like, yo, bro, what are you doing Saturday?
Yeah.
It was like I recognized something that he was going through. I, too, have been there before. I see lots of areas in his business that I can help him and give him advice and mentor. And I sent it in a very heartfelt sense, and then he didn't acknowledge it.
That's why it's hurt.
Of course. And so that's what I told Katrina. I said, so my ego was probably bruised a little bit, and I said, so I did that to him, and it was a little jab. I was being a dick. I know I was being a dick, but hey, here's the thing, man. A lesson hopefully was learned in that situation, because I'm the type of guy that what I could have done is just now never talk to him, never respond to him, never reach out. But because I feel compassion for him,
and there's some value there. I'm similar. I think we're all kind of like that. I'll give somebody everything, the shirt off my back. The second I feel like you take advantage of me or don't respect me, I just cut you off forever.
Yeah,
and that's just how I operate. We've had relationships like that with people who we've worked with who come on the show or whatever, and and then afterwards be disrespectful, and then that's cool. You're just done. You just never talk again.
I just think about the Mike Russios, the Mike Matthews, the Ben Pekulskis, the Ben Greenfields, and I mean the list just goes on and on and on. Paul Checks, like the Tom Bilyeu's. I mean, I have incredible relationships with all of these men that I wish that I could spend even more time with, and don't have the time to communicate with them that much. So when I reach out to someone like that, who I'm not getting anything selfishly, like I don't want anything from you, kid. Like I don't need you to do anything for me. I see something in you that I have compassion for, because I see much of myself, and I'm trying to lend a hand out. And I'm the type of person where I'll lend that hand out a few times, and it's okay if you don't take it. I get it, but to not acknowledge it and to kind of blow me off like that, like, oh, it's okay, like that for sure bothered me.
I mean, a side note on that just made me think about what a tough way to make a living, based almost solely on Instagram. Yeah. Like that would be the social media.
Your portrayed persona, not even like your everyday self.
What a tough one to provide. Tough. It's a tough one to provide real value through.
I see a lot of people going down this path, man, and it's
the worst. It's a platform, and it's an important one because lots of people are on it. But it's definitely one that I wouldn't. If I had to pick which platform to find my success, that would be at the bottom.
Yeah,
it's hard to provide a lot of value with Instagram, and it's so fleeting. That's a tough one, you know what I mean?
Well, you could even see how much it bothered him because of how he responded, the way he responded to me via text when we were going back and forth. I was like, man, I knew that I was poking at him, but I didn't realize how much it was going to affect him, because, man, he really does care that much about what people say on social media. I don't give a fuck. Respond. Say some shit about me. You know what I'm saying?
What?
I don't like it's social media. Like, I care about what people who meet me in real life think about me.
Well, also think about it this way though. So, we made our bones through podcasting. We have other platforms too, but this is where we built everything, and this is where we continue to build things. If somebody says something about you in a negative way, something that's not true, I have an hour and a half to 2 hours to explain myself and talk and communicate on the podcast and do it with a lot of discussion and value. With Instagram, it's short sound bites, and somebody attacks your character on Instagram, it's very difficult to come back at them with that short little sound bite. It just looks like drama, and it just looks like bullshit. Whereas with podcasting, it's not. It's different. It's funny. I was having this conversation.
I would have called me right back out. That's what I would have done. I would have been like, "Oh, Adam's crying because I didn't return his text message." Like I would have totally jabbed back at me, and I would have totally received that. Because I was. I'm poking at you.
I think you did the right thing to contact you, though, personally.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Well, that's what he was mad because I didn't follow up again. I'm like, well, I'm not what I am not. I'm not the guy I'm not the chick that's going to text you 7 times with no response. Yeah. I got better things to do with my day. I got better. And it only came up because
pay attention to me.
Somebody asked. I'm like, one of the things I do, and I try and do this for the audience as much as I can. Like I've set a goal for myself personally to try and do it once a week, where I do these Q&As, because I get a lot of response and feedback.
I still haven't done one. I need to do one of those.
I gotta do that.
I definitely think that at least my following really enjoys that.
How long does that take you? Because I know
it's quite
like an hour or so.
No,
you got to dedicate
way more than that?
You got to dedicate
way more than that. The day I'm doing it, I'm doing it for 4 or 5 hours straight. So I do it and I try and time it on days when I know that, one, I got home early. and Katrina's not gonna be home later, so I have this gap of where I could like literally be plugged into my phone for 4 hours straight, because I can't even get to all of them. Like there's probably 100 people I didn't get to answer on there, but I try and answer. My goal is to get through as many as I can, and so I'm just like quick answers. They're quick and they're witty and whatever.
It's actually a quite brilliant way to touch your
I love it.
people.
I love it. I think it is a really neat way. You can tell it's me. If anybody who listens to the show can tell it's me. It's not like and I think that's what people enjoy about it is we don't get to interact with our people that much. I'm definitely not somebody who likes to talk to Insta Story all the time. But I do find this is a cool way to give back and allow people to communicate with me and get really a response from me personally. And so my goal is to like plow through as many as I can and respond to them. And so someone literally just said like, you know, what do you think about Bradley Martin? And that was like fresh on my mind because fucker hadn't responded to me. And like, so I just threw
here we go.
I threw a quick jab, you know what I'm saying? But the way I was looking, it was more playful, but I definitely, you know, I think I offend him. And I got nothing but love for you, Bradley. So if you're listening to this podcast or you get wind, I'm sure everything gets around. It's like high school once you get to this level, right? Once you're at this point where so many people listen to all the fitness people, it's like, right away, you know, people will go talk about it.
People will say something.
Yeah, so I have a lot of love and respect for this guy. I think his heart is in the right place, and he's doing a lot of good things. And I hope that I can help one day play some sort of a role in helping making that even better for him. You know. Yeah.
Hey, just change gears here. You know, as I was driving over here this morning, two things pop into my head. One is the state of insane traffic that we now have in San Jose, which literally is probably the most stressful part of my day, is driving through.
It has gotten worse, hasn't it?
It's terrible.
Yeah.
It's really bad.
I've noticed, and I don't know if there's just more companies hiring and just bringing people into the area or what the hell's going on, but I know there's developments happening all near where I live now, so it is. It's getting like gridlock out there.
It's crazy.
We have to blame Google and Facebook and
Netflix.
I don't blame them. I don't blame. I think they're great.
Everybody's here.
No, it's bringing so many jobs here.
Yeah, what I blame is shitty, planning, city planning, and the inability of. It's so difficult to build homes and houses in this highly regulated.
Do you know what I believe?
You need those Elon Musk tubes.
I believe in our lifetime for sure that we will laugh at this period of time. We'll laugh at the trafficked years.
I was just going to say that.
I believe in our time, we will sit back and we're like, dude, you remember that you used to sit?
You used to have to drive.
You used to drive.
You angry?
You used to drive 5 miles across town, and it could take you 45 minutes. You know how stupid it was we did that?
I know.
We will sit back and, talk about that.
People do not realize, because here's the thing about that I love about economics is many times there's the unseen. There's things that you don't see, and so you think they don't exist. But what we don't realize, what a lot of people don't realize, is the tremendous amount of waste that happens, and inefficiency and non-productivity, the opposite of productivity, that happens because of traffic, because of commute. It's insane. If we eliminated the hours it takes people to get to work, the way that the gas that it takes, the resources that it wastes, all that, if you eliminated all that and people were able to connect and work, more quickly or be productive on the way to work, you're going to see what's going to happen when this becomes a reality. You're going to see an explosion of economic productivity because so much is wasted in this process. And so as I'm driving here, I'm thinking about exactly that. I'm looking around thinking, this is not going to last. And the second this really starts to change, we're going to see shit explode, markets explode. And then I thought about, then I started to think, wow, how much is it going to change like stores, like actual storefronts and places that you drive to, and like, are we going to even need? We're not going to even ever need to go anywhere.
It's already sort of eliminating a lot of retails. Like you just see like chains going out, out of business, like left and right. It's interesting to see, like just because the convenience of being able to have it delivered to your house, and also just. I mean, it's just so much more accessible now.
And I see people, who does this, and it was really funny to me when I saw Tom this way, like Tom Bilyeu. So Tom Bilyeu lives in this fucking amazing, beautiful mansion up on the top of Hollywood Hills, right? Mulholland Drive, right? Mm-hmm. And he I don't know if he has a car. I don't think he has a car. he Ubers everywhere. And I remember the first time
he works while he's Ubering.
Yeah. And I'm like, you know what? That makes a lot of sense. Like when you think about someone at that level, like you're probably considering a $100,000 plus vehicle. When you break down what that would cost you monthly to maintain,
never have to find parking. You can work while you're in the car.
Right. Yeah.
The cost of the Uber itself, if you do the math, if you actually do the math of how much you spend and minus out what you would spend on gas, insurance, potential car payment, you're probably saving money.
And he does those private jets too that are like kind of Uber, right?
Yep. But it's crazy to me because now you have like Amazon Prime that delivers to your house, right away. You have overnight delivery. You have like our sponsor Thrive Market, for example, right? Mm-hmm. Which they're basically an online grocery store. They offer a lot more than that, but organic, non-GMO products. You buy from them, they ship relatively quickly. Do you know how impossible that was 10, 15 years ago?
Especially, you know how impossible that was just 5 years ago for organic foods.
It's crazy.
I mean, that's the thing that's really challenging is to be able to find that because that was like a specialty just 10 years ago. So that is something that's really unique. There's all the things that we would have to drive to go get is slowly becoming...
When it gets to the point where you can order something, because it's going to happen, where you're going to be able to order something online and it's going to be at your door within an hour, they're fucked. Everybody's fucked. Because when I think about the time it takes me to drive to the store, let's say drive to Whole Foods, buy this, that, and the other, if I could just, at that moment, order something and they could deliver. I already use delivery stuff anyway, but sometimes stuff pops up that you need right now, right? So you have to drive to the store. When that's done, they're fucked. They're screwed. Because and it's going to eliminate middlemen. I mean, this is why, like I said, I know they're our sponsor, but when you think about it, you look at the products that Thrive Market offers, like do the math. Look at how much they're charging for organic, non-GMO products. How are they able to charge less? Well, because there's no middleman.
There's deals, like on everything. Like just going through the dog products and everything, I'm like, oh yeah, they got wipes because like he's got those floppy ears that are always like getting infected. I'm like, I'm gonna grab those. I'm gonna grab this like specific organic food that we're gonna try this out, and it's been like rad for that. But there's just so many things that they're eliminating the need for you to really go, physically to these places again. And I start thinking about like Christmas shopping. Like there's so many people that have not physically Christmas shopped anymore.
Katrina and I are on year 3 now of that. Year 3. So for the first 5 years of our relationship, it was like the old-fashioned way.
Go to the store, shop.
And I remember after the first year that we did Amazon, like a couple weeks before Black Friday, and it gets crazy because what's that? Cyber Monday is right after that. We start like the week before that, and dude, it's so awesome, and the plus especially for Christmas shopping, when you point out that it comes in a box. You know what I'm saying? So then not only do you get the gift
in the wish list that you can keep adding to.
Yeah, dude, you just fucking wrap. It's so much easier. I'm like, dude, I will never Christmas shop ever again out there. Like, it's crazy.
Bro, think about it this way too, because as I think about, and try to figure out the unseen consequences of, and by the way, when the car was invented and suburban areas were invented, that was a huge boom. Economically, but now we're at a point now where we need to move past that, and there's a lot of, like I said, there's a lot of waste and inefficiencies that happen as a result of it, and that'll be gone. And here's another one: think about houses. How much space is dedicated to parking your car?
I know.
Parking your car in the garage. No, what happens when you no longer? What's going to happen when you no longer need a garage?
That's another new room.
You've got another room or two.
Yeah.
What about parking lots? What about parking lots? All that wasted space. You know how much space is dedicated to parking your car? Mm-hmm. How much time is dedicated to trying to find parking? All that shit gone. Retail space, I think, is going to shrink tremendously. If you look forward in 30 years, which is a long time, but even 20 years, you have to imagine that the total amount of retail space that exists is probably going to reduce dramatically as the demand for retail stores continues to drop and drop and drop and drop. And what you'll end up having is these big fulfillment centers like Amazon has with, delivery that comes straight from there. And I'm pretty sure at some point shit will get delivered to your door by drone. Mm-hmm. It's not going to be, we're almost there. The science is already, the technology is already there.
It's why it baffles me when I see, we just had a Smart and Final right up here from the studio. Like, you see how massive that is? Like the amount that had to have been a multi-million-dollar project to build that up. Like, I don't know if I'm a company right now, I'm investing that heavily in a brick and mortar type.
Well,
place.
imagine if so Whole Foods gets bought by Amazon, so we could see what that transition is going to be like eventually.
Oh, that's going to be Thrive's biggest competitor.
Yeah.
I mean, and kudos to Thrive for being ahead of it, because the race is on. And as of right now, Thrive is the number
they're the number one online.
Yeah, they're the number one online leader, and so this is going to be interesting to watch. And
I love it because we win. All the consumers win when they compete and fight for our money. It's great.
You know what I think about, and is in our space, being more specific to fitness, is the formula forever has been gain traction, get an audience, get enough people around you, pivot into a supplement company. And I'm so glad that we were so anti doing that, because to me, it is only a matter of time before Amazon just fucks everybody.
Mm-hmm.
It's game over at one point. I mean, they're putting all the chips in place, and it is only a matter of time before they flip that switch on, and they have the best product for the cheapest prices to your house faster than anybody else, and the reviews to back it up and prove it.
They're almost like a global vending machine.
Yeah, if you're a supplement company, how the fuck are you going to compete with that? If you're a Mind Pump and you start a Mind Pump supplement...
so far what Amazon has done is actually increase the success and the viability of a supplement company.
Of course they are. They're helping them all. You know what? It's like letting the fox in the hen house, bro. Yeah. Come on in. Yeah. Come on in. Let us calculate all your data and figure out what sells the most, what's the most popular.
And here's why. Because they control the shipping and the storing.
Yes.
That they'll be able to charge the least.
Yes.
So they'll be able to get the same quality
That's
product.
what I'm saying. They will be able to give you as good a better product, or as good of a product, and get it to you faster for a cheaper rate.
Yep.
And it'll be easy to filter through what's the best, because the star ranking and the reviews, and you will feel very good about buying that supplement, because it's like, oh shit, like there's 5,000 people on here that have done it, and it's got a 4.5 star rating.
And old brands are they should be scared, because the rating system, it destroys the whole brand loyalty thing. It kills it.
Oh yeah.
Like if I go on Amazon and I want to buy an herb or a supplement or a creatine, and I see the old school guys that I remember and recognize, EAS and all those brands, and then I see a brand that I've never heard of, but I see it's got 5 stars, it's got 75 reviews, I read the reviews, they're good, probably going to buy it. In the past, I would have never bought it. I don't know that brand.
Right.
I'm not going to trust it. But now it's interesting what's happening. What I'm fascinated to see. I'm fascinated to see how Walmart is gonna pivot, because Walmart still to this day is the largest employer in America. They're fucking massive. Mm-hmm. They have their own brilliant shipping, the ways that they ship things and connect things, and they have their own network. They're a massive behemoth of a company. They've got to be looking at this and thinking to themselves,
they may be too big to fail. Just so you know too, Walmart is doing something. Their answer right now. So they have this pickup thing, and my buddy's done it already. So first of all, if you didn't know, Walmart is the number one distributor of organic food still.
Yep.
They're number one still.
Because they're so huge.
Exactly. And they now have this like pickup thing. So you order everything online or whatever that you want, and you pull up, and then someone will come out and put it in your car.
Yep.
Nothing, you don't have to, it's already paid for.
Step out.
Yeah, you don't even have to get out of your car. You pull up to a parking spot there that's designated for this. They come out, they drop the groceries into your car, and then you come right back. So they're getting pretty close.
Now that's good until delivery's faster than that.
And that's you know
what I'm saying?
They're that big that I believe that they'll be able to pivot easily, is what I'm saying.
I hope.
They will.
I don't hope. Who cares?
I think they'll battle Amazon. I mean, I don't think they may be too big to fail. They could cut their stores in half, fire 50% of their employees, and save millions of dollars.
Well, we need competition for Amazon.
Yeah, and talk about that. Like Walmart firing half their staff or whatever, half their people. That would be a major. We would actually see a drop
in our economy.
Yeah,
I know.
Yeah. That's how big of a company they are.
No,
it's pretty crazy. I saw a video on. Did I see it with you guys? And I think it was Domino's. It was a Domino's commercial.
Where they're fixing the roads?
No. They were testing a self-driving pizza delivery car.
Oh, that sounds about right.
Did you guys see this? I don't know. Maybe Doug, you can.
They're making
a
lot of interesting moves like that.
Look up self-driving pizza delivery car.
But they did have that initiative to fix, like if you had like roads that were really bad and like poorly mismanaged or whatever, they wanted you to ride in, and then they would like.
They would pay for it.
Yeah, they'd pay for it.
Of course, because it benefits them.
It benefits them to get there.
Just
right?
like it benefits, e-commerce companies. Yeah, it is. Ford and Domino's test self-driving delivery cars. So in the commercial, the car, you have an app. You order your pizza. The app shows you where the car is. It pulls up to your house. There's no one in the car. There's a little keypad on it. You type in your code. The fucking thing gives you your pizza.
Oh,
and
wow.
it fucking drives away, dude. And it drives away.
Wow.
How cool is that?
Yeah. That is pretty cool.
All food's going to be delivered that way. Think of that, right? It's going to drive up. You're typing your code.
It's like Total Recall or something. I feel like that's been in a movie where like, some automated self-driving car was like delivering pizza.
Yeah.
What a trip.
And then you guys saw that video of the what was it, that machine?
Oh, the robot?
The robot doing parkour?
That's parkouring and jumping. And
bro, don't tell me that's not terrifying.
Oh, bro. They had another one I should have showed you. Like there was a robot. It was just like running down the street, and then it was like looking around the corner, and like you see this guy looking out of his window, and he's looking out like, what the fuck is this? Like it was like running down the street, and then it stopped and was like looking in the window. How terrifying would that be?
Well, you know what's going to be. We live like in the Silicon Valley, which is like tech capital of the world,
sure.
right? So a lot of the things that we get to see it fairly early in comparison to the rest of the nation. So what's going to be funny is when it's been here for like a year and it's been the norm, and then like somebody brings the robot back like back east somewhere, right?
It's
or
like
south.
Iowa. It's just like
and you're like you're sitting on your porch smoking some weed, just chilling. You know what I'm saying? Like, and have no clue about this has already evolved and we're here now.
Well, bro, I don't think for a second one of the biggest investors in these walking, running, parkour type robots is going to be the military. You mark my words.
Well, of course,
mark my words, because robots don't say no. They don't get PTSD. They're obviously much harder to kill, and at some point probably will be cheaper.
Dude, I've already showed the hand gesturing technology with like these like little mini tank drones, and then also the flying drones.
Yeah,
like these guys like will walk out with these other soldiers, and he would literally like take this little mini tank and like drive it through, just like hand gesturing it around. It was a trip, man.
Did you see the Boston Dynamics? We're watching they have the one up there right now where he's moving the box away and the robot's trying to pick it up. How funny is that?
It's like, no.
So have you guys seen the dog one that they made?
Well, I seen it with.
It's on 4 legs.
What's his face? He had a picture of it with him.
Yeah, it's on 4 legs. And what's that? There was an episode, I think, of Black Mirror with a robot dog that was going after the woman and killing her.
Oh yeah,
it's so realistic. You could totally see that shit happening.
Yeah.
Anyway, super. It's funny, Justin. We were having this conversation when we drove in your truck together. I think when we were going to Tahoe. How was it Elon Musk that said that machines never forget, so they'll remember?
Oh yeah. I think that was a point he brought up in the podcast he did with Joe Rogan, where he was saying that like as far as like that goes, like you're talking to Siri or you're talking to like this AI, basically all of that is cataloged forever. So if you think about like the initial conversations you'd had with Siri, like fuck you, bitch, and blah, blah, blah,
the robots will remember,
like remember that, and like how you treated them initially. Now think about that, like as that develops further, and like they sort of screen you as like a problematic or like somebody that's like going to be aggressive towards them.
They'll know because they'll be like,
no, I remember. He said, fuck you.
Actually, that's a great sci-fi movie where like a dude's at home and a robot shows up at his door and is like, we're going to throw you in jail. Like, I didn't do anything. Like, actually, we've cataloged all of your behaviors. And we've
predictive behavior will tell us that at some point you will be violent,
and then they play it for you and shit, and all the weird shit that you say.
Son of a bitch!
Yeah, dude, I should have smoked weed for this episode. I didn't know we were going this direction.
Oh man, it freaks me out at night. That's what keeps me up, dude.
You'll eat another bag of the skinny dip.
I know. I was gonna say, pass those suckers over to me. I actually they're
way too addictive. Get them away from me.
Katrina and I we agreed we just ran out our last one yesterday, and she's like, I think we should not order them for a while. I'm like, no, keep them. I want them coming.
What's your favorite flavor though?
Oh, I'm definitely the coffee one, dude.
The espresso chocolate.
Yeah, it's
good.
Yeah,
I can't, dude. The chocolate peanut butter. Oh my god, I can't get better than that.
Yeah, it's super good.
Well, it's those ones are like candy to me. They're so sweet and good. I feel like at least the coffee, the espresso chocolate ones, I feel like it's a
little bitter edge.
I feel like it's a healthy, good treat. You know, like I feel like I can justify having. And then I also make sure I order the single packs. That's key for me.
Oh yeah, that's a good move because then it limits your hand grabbing.
Yeah, so
because then he limits himself to three packs.
No, I'm good. Like I'll go down. We keep them we like them cold, right?
How many calories is a full pack?
220 calories.
See, it's not bad.
No, it's not. It's not
if
bad.
You manage yourself,
and it's a good amount. It's a good amount right there. But they have the other size up, which is like 800 calories if you eat that whole thing. And I have done that. I've sat down and crushed a whole big bag of it. And I'm like, okay, we can't order that anymore. We have to order the small ones because it can get out.
I've been eating those and watching like scary movies. You know, it's just
what's up with you in scary movies?
I don't know. I don't know. It's like I'm drawn to it for some reason. I guess it's because I hadn't watched any in so long, and then there's all these creepy options, and I'm like, that looks weird. You know, let's check this out. And then it turns into like the most horrific psychological terror like I've seen in a long time.
I want to watch a scary movie, a good one though, a fucking terrifying one with you guys so bad. Especially Adam.
Adam will scream.
So bad, dude.
Somebody asked me that on my questions last night. They asked my favorite horror films. I'm like, I don't watch scary movies. I said, when I watch movies, I do it because I want to relax. If I want to feel anxious for 2 hours, I'll go ride a fucking roller coaster.
Yeah.
Like that's just.
Have you ever seen? You've seen one though,
Of
right?
course.
What's the scariest one you've ever watched?
Oh.
Is there anything that fucking just stuck with you?
Chainsaw Massacre was pretty scary for me when I watched that.
The first one was awesome.
Yeah, I watched it as a kid, right? So
that's not a good movie to watch as a kid.
No
wonder you don't like it.
I remember. So my friends when I was younger,
Exorcist.
Think about teenage boys all growing up together, and I'm the only one who doesn't like scary movies. So of course we watch scary movies because everybody thought it was the funniest thing ever to watch me squirm while I watch these stupid movies. Now that I'm a grown ass adult and I don't have to fucking try to appeal to my friends, I don't fucking watch them. So I'm not gonna fall for you wanting to watch them.
Dude, me and my buddy played the Ouija board at a cemetery.
Oh my god, you guys
at a cemetery.
You're weird.
We did, and you know what? It's the human psyche is pretty interesting because we're obviously terrified. I was like 15 maybe, and we did it at the cemetery because we it's gonna be fucking crazy. It's gonna be so scary, whatever. Yeah. You will create shit in your mind.
Of course. That's what you do, yeah.
So, I saw a demon, but I'm pretty sure I created it. I don't know I'm pretty sure it wasn't real.
The Ring scared me. That was scary for me when I watched that. I watched that when it first came out. Like that was a scary movie. I've watched quite a few scary movies, but I like movies, scary movies, where at the end I think something is a particular way and it completely twists me. Like Sixth Sense.
Yeah, like where I'm like, what the hell? I did not expect that.
I can watch I like suspense / like twisted movies like that. I like twisted movies, but I don't do good with the boo
that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I don't like to be on edge. I don't like to be wondering like something's going to jump out any minute now.
Oh, this is the best.
And feel that way.
Can we do a haunted house? Like a real one,
like a haunted cornfield.
Yeah, let's do it.
Like crazy.
Oh my god, that's good content for YouTube.
I believe we don't one of our malls close down this month and actually turn it into a
gyros or whatever,
like a huge haunted house. Yeah, they used to when we were younger. I don't know if they still do that.
My kid, my
guy
boy
jumps
like
out of the Sbarro pizza.
Yeah.
Oh shit!
I love that. That's so fun.
I wish I liked it more so we could be into it, but I don't. Sorry. And I've tried enough times to know that it's not going to be something that grows on me.
Yeah, that's all right.
Eagle has landed. Today's Quah is brought to you by Maps Anabolic. If you're looking to maximize your overall muscle and strength, Maps Anabolic is the perfect place to start. With a full 30-day money-back guarantee, there is absolutely zero risk. So what are you waiting for? Go to mindpumpmedia.com and get started today.
It's the motherfucking Quah.
Eagle has landed.
Quah.
First question is from Evolved Fitness. I'm a personal trainer and have always been against group classes because it's hard to have everyone do good form and technique. How can I not feel like a hypocrite by running boot camps to help monetize training and my time?
Ooh, fun question.
It is, right? It's a good question. I want to get into
is real.
And I want to get into how you can run a boot camp in the best way possible with the most integrity. But before I do, because I know we're going to get into that. It's going to be a great discussion. But before we do, there's a lesson that I learned later on in my career as a personal trainer that was one of the most important lessons. It was one of the most valuable ones. And that's this, that my clients aren't going to be perfect. The way I train people is many times not going to be in the best way that I can deliver it because the person won't receive it. My clients aren't going to eat in the best, perfect way for themselves, usually. And so I had to, at some point, realize that, am I doing them some good? Are they benefiting more from doing whatever it is we're doing than they would if I said to them, hey, you're not doing everything I want you to do and everything's not perfect, so I don't want to train you anymore. This was a lesson that took me a while to learn. And it got to the point where I understood, I'd have clients who train with me for, 3 years, and they'd meet with me and train once a week because that's all they could ever commit to. And the rest of the week they would kind of eat bad and they wouldn't be active. And old me would have been irritated and would have fired my client. How many trainers say that, right? I'm going to fire my client. And then I start to realize, like, wait a minute, am I having a positive effect on this person? Are we inching, however slow it is, towards a better life and a better relationship with exercise and nutrition? And the answer, 99% of the time, was yes, even if it wasn't as fast as I would like or as perfect as I would like. And let's be honest, is it ever as fast as... I'm the one with the knowledge and understanding of exercise and nutrition. It's never going to be fast enough for me. It's never going to be perfect enough for me because it's easy for me. I've been doing this half my life. So some people, here's the deal. Some clients you're only ever going to be able to touch through group classes. Some people will never hire a personal trainer one-on-one because of the cost or because they just don't want to. And are they better off taking your group class if you run it well than they would if they had no interaction with you whatsoever? That's the real question.
I think that's a really good way to put it. I struggle with this a lot. So, and I shared just recently on my Insta story when I was going through my file cabinet, like my old boot camps. And, I had, at one point I had 3 camps a day running 6 days a week. And I had a trainer working for me and covering half of those camps. And so it was like a side business that I had built up, and I'd built it up to be really successful. And where I had lost my passion for it and why I didn't continue to evolve, because, someone might think like, wow, if you were making that much money on the side and I really was working very few hours, why wouldn't you potentially quit the other things you were doing and then pour everything into that? Because I probably could have grew it into a fairly large, 6-figure business that I could have been doing. Where I lost the passion for it was because I didn't feel like I was helping people as much as I could have been. And I felt like a lot of the people that that may have thought I was helping them because they were burning a bunch of calories in my class, I really wasn't setting them up for long-term success. Now, that being said, later on, after I kind of eliminated, because one of the, I like being in group settings just because I like the challenge of multiple people with all different stuff going on, and I'm a social person, and so I like the
There's setting. A lot more energy. It's more fun too, a lot of times. So being in a group,
right? So I like all that aspect of doing group training. But what I felt like was like, if the typical boot camp looks like this, where you set up a bunch of circuits where you've got, warrior ropes, and you've got medicine balls and Bosu balls and dumbbells and jump ropes. And, you're doing this like circuit base, kind of like fucking curves type of a setup. And that is what people were looking for. They want to sweat. They want to be sore. They want to get worked out really hard. And I fell into that trap of providing that kind of a service for a really long time. And it did eventually eat away at me, and I realized that I didn't want to continue to grow this. So I got rid of a lot of the camps. I kept a handful of them that I still did, and I still to this day help out a lot of the people that used to come to my boot camps. Now, where it's evolved, and if I were to start a group class now, it would look like what I do now. And what I've done now is I've taken the knowledge that I've learned from like FRC and Aldoa and some of these other certifications that I technically don't have, but I've read a lot of it. They've held the courses within our facility, so I'm very familiar with all the material. And I have now incorporated a lot of time. Shout out to Dr. Brink, because Justin Brink has completely evolved my knowledge and level of body mechanics and the understanding of the body and how it moves, and being able to break somebody down at a much deeper level than what I was before. And so now when I run these camps, I'm doing a lot of things that I know may not burn a ton of calories and build a ton of muscle. But when I look at my demographic in my boot camps, the average age was probably 55. You know, and what I know about 55-year-old people today is most of them suffer from chronic pain. They've got poor mobility. They've got all these like issues going on. And so taking them through warrior ropes and jump boxes and fucking crazy circuit type classes really is doing a disservice to those people. And then what I started to do is I molded it around this kind of FRC model, and I started taking them through 90-90 moves and combat stretches and, you know, handcuff with rotation. And so I'm teaching these mobility drills to these people. And hey, that burns calories. So you do a lizard with a rotation back and forth, 10 and 10 on each side. And most of those clients that I was doing that with, like, got a little workout.
And I bet your retention is much higher. Because the problem with boot camps is the retention is terrible because people tend to burn themselves out.
That's exactly.
Or get hurt.
And so these people that I still do this with, and I do this as a free service now, just a way of me giving back. And I do it whenever I'm in town on the weekends. I text them all on a Friday night and say, hey, I'm here. Who can make it? And most all of them show up every time they can. I hold it in our studio. And they fucking love it. And it's because of the way they feel as soon as they walk out. I mean, if you do an hour, anybody who's familiar with FRC or Eldoa, you spend an hour doing FRC or Eldoa, and I guarantee, I don't care if you're fucking 20 or you're 60, you get done with that and you feel amazing.
As opposed to how you feel after a traditional boot camp circuit, which is like you're dead.
I think that's pretty much the only way to like apply like a group setting these days. I think that there's a lot of value in what you're talking about. I think, and the only other thing that I could think that if I was to go back and try and structure something in a group setting or like a boot camp, like I would add one very specific skill into the mix that everybody learns, like, and everybody goes like a squat. So all we're doing for the entire session is breaking it down, and you know, it would be like kind of boring, but you'd have to look at it as educational, which then, you know, you could be meticulous with everybody and really work on the little nuances and apply FRC and apply Eldoa and apply all these like mobility practices to further them, because most people that go to these boot camps and these group classes, I mean, they're just deconditioned. They're deconditioned. They want to get in shape. They don't understand, you know, all the prerequisites, all the things they need to improve upon in order to provide better movement, better function, and to then catapult that into momentum into the gym.
Yeah, I have a tough time sometimes watching some of these boot camp classes. Sometimes you'll see them in gyms, and other times you'll see them in parks, and it's trainers yelling at people.
It's just sloppy.
Yeah, it's trainers. Come on, go, run, yeah, lift, fall. And it's really, really bad training. And so I have an issue with that. But, you know, here's the other thing with fitness and personal training in particular. It's similar to other professions that are passion driven, in the sense that like people are artists, not because they want to make a lot of money, but because they have a passion for art. Someone's a musician, not to make a lot of money. It's usually because they have a passion for music. And people who choose a career in fitness typically do so because they have a passion for and a belief in movement and fitness and health, and it's their passion. And and this is the thing, like, you know, when you have a certain understanding of fitness and health and you have a passion for it, it can be hard to do a boot camp because it doesn't follow that passion. Can you make a lot of money in group classes? Yeah, if you run them well like a business, the potential to make more money is higher with group type classes. You could scale the fuck out of them. You know, if Adam had a passion for boot camp, he could at some point have 50 classes running all over the Bay Area, and he'd have a 7-figure business. Try creating a 7-figure business as a one-on-one personal trainer. Mm-hmm. It's almost impossible. It's very difficult, or extremely, extremely rare. It's so the money potential is much higher. But if you have a real passion for true fitness, it becomes difficult because it's hard to deliver that in a group setting. But again, that being said, I think if you do it with integrity and you put it together in a way that will benefit people, and you also understand that the way I used to treat boot camps was it was a great low barrier to enter into a relationship with a fitness professional. So the way I looked at it was, okay, I know that I could really deliver tremendous value and long-term success to clients who work with me one-on-one. The problem is, the big hurdle is the initial cost, because personal training is not cheap. You know, if you go across the country, it's anywhere between $50 to $150 per hour. And although a lot of people can afford the $50 an hour rate, it's still extremely expensive, and that's going to prevent a lot of people from ever creating that relationship with a fitness professional. So what do people end up doing? Just getting a membership at a gym, trying to figure out on their own, and the success rate's terrible. But group classes offer a nice lower step. It's a lower barrier. So, okay, I'm going to take this boot camp class, and instead of paying, $50 an hour and, training with a trainer twice a week, which is $100 a week, it may cost me $100 a month, which is far less, and I get the experience of working with the fitness professional. It's much better than working out on my own. And so my goal with these classes was get people in, and then eventually help them to transition to hiring me one-on-one, or help them create a better relationship to where they can start training themselves appropriately.
Yeah, I also had, and I was kind of like Adam, where I was like pouring myself into boot camps as like a side business, where I was trying to develop that, and that was sort of taking off, but I was just uncomfortable with the whole thing, and it was just kind of getting away from me, I felt. And plus, because I was on the other end of the spectrum of like really trying to enhance the one-on-one to like a level that I felt like nobody else was doing it. And I was trying to get to like sort of primo, like I could take care of like basically be like your health like manager.
Yeah, for like 5 clients, right?
Yeah, for like 5 or 6 clients. And so it was like completely in contrast to that. And so it was just like
the opposite model.
Yeah, I just felt like this is just so dumb for me to have both of these running simultaneously. It was like a complete polar opposite. And so one thing I did do, though, that I know some trainers have done this as well, is do the whole buddy training thing, where like husband and wife, or like really good friends, they sort of band together, and they pay for like your hour's time, or like a little bit longer than that. I actually would prefer them to go like 1.5 to 2 hours if it was a buddy, because that's another thing where, yes, it's already, that's a compromise for me as far as like programming is concerned, because now my time is divided and I'm not watching. It just doesn't, it's not never going to be the same as just that one-on-one attention. But I feel like that's a little bit more manageable as far as like if cost is the real issue, like let's work this out to where I could still like have my hands on and program something that's of value for both of you.
Yeah, when I look at the value that I provided as a fitness professional, some of the value is in the exercises and techniques that I did with you and brought you through and got you to move differently. But a lot of the value was the communication that I had with my clients. Yep. My ability to sit and communicate and teach and guide and lead them to this new relationship with their body and exercise and nutrition. And the problem with group training is that's reduced dramatically. I can still have people do exercises and stuff, and I can even, if I do a really fucking good job and I have other trainings working for me, we can even kind of optimize their form and stuff. Still not to the level of one-on-one, but it's going to be a lot better. But what I'm dramatically reducing is my ability to communicate and get through to people. And what I would do with my boot camps is I would save the last 5 minutes for a 5-minute talk. But still, it's 5 minutes. It's more of a lecture. It wasn't nearly as effective. Now, when I do like what we do now with podcasting and YouTube and stuff like that, well, now people are tuning in to listen. And I get to touch the masses in similar ways to the way I did.
Isn't that funny how we've all evolved? Like that was exactly what I found, was the communication and the back and forth of like the constant asking of questions was the most success I've had with 100%. People. And now this is all we do. Is that part of it?
So
exactly.
I'll give whoever's asking this question, here's a killer formula if you're going to go forward with the classes. If you don't own Prime Pro, invest in that. So whatever, I don't even know how much we sell that for, but whatever it's sold for, invest in that, which is under $200 that you can get this program. Pick 8 exercises a week that you're going to go through, and I would stick with those 8 exercises for a minimum of 3 to 4 weeks for your camp. I would and this is exactly how I teach right now. So all the movements that I teach in my group class are from Prime Pro. So take 8 of those, and roughly 8, because I'm giving you 5 to 10 minutes per movement because you want to spend that much time taking them through each one of these movements. So pick your favorite 8 to 10 out of Prime Pro. Teach that in your class. While you're teaching that in class, review one topic that you learned on Mind Pump the last time you listened to Mind Pump. I literally did this at Orange Theory because when we were first starting Mind Pump, I was at Orange Theory. I had a real big problem with that group setting. I don't like the model as far as injury prevention and overall mobility. It's really just all about burning calories, getting points, and being in the orange and shit. And so I modified my classes that I taught this way. And so I would leave the last 10 minutes to do some sort of mobility work that I teach them while they're doing that. And I'm limited time there, so I have to follow the rules of the franchise. So while I'm teaching like one move, and then I'm talking about one topic that we probably just talked about on Mind Pump the night before, and that was really my formula for success at OTF for the couple years that I was there. I would take a page out of that, and I would teach out of Prime Pro for my camp, and I would teach a single topic that I was just freshly learning, that, or even if it wasn't something you learned, it's just fresh in your mind because you've heard us discuss it on the podcast like the night before. And I think that would be incredibly valuable to most of the people that are taking your class.
Next question is from Andrew PMF. What would you say are the pros and cons to going into business alone or with a partner or partners?
Partnerships in business
They
are
rarely
interesting.
work, right?
Well, I was going to say one of the biggest cons is the odds of it succeeding are really low because it's hard to it's like being married. It really is. When you go into business with a partner, that is your business partner, and that means you're going to hopefully, if you guys succeed, this is a person you're going to work with for a very, very long time, intricately, and both sharing both the profit and loss of the business. That being said, here's the deal. When you start a business and you want to do really, really well, it's very hard to find people who can complement you with talents that you don't have or possess, who also have the same level of responsibility, conscientiousness, drive, and passion, who will also just work for you and get paid by you. It's very difficult to do that. If you find someone with those talents, with that same drive or whatever, they typically don't want to work for you. They want to work with you. And so, like, for example, there's no way in hell I would be able to do this having, like, if I found Adam, Justin, and Doug and say, hey, I'm going to pay you guys to work for me, they wouldn't work for me. These guys are way too badass to work for anybody, but they're awesome enough to want to partner. And so that's one of the big pros is that, I can focus on my talents and my skills, and the stuff I'm not, as good at, one of these guys is better than I am at it. And so we become the sum of our parts is much more than what you would normally add up. It's not 2 + 2 = 4. It's like 2 + 2 = 10 because everybody works together and it's this synergy that starts to develop. But I will say this is the first time I've ever worked with partners that I felt like that. I've had partners before and it didn't feel like that. This is the first time where I'm like, wow, this works better than anything I could imagine because of the people that I'm working with. It's just hard to find those kind of people.
I have a really hard time answering this question because, and I get this a lot, people are always very interested in how it works with 4 partners, right? And how Mind Pump manages that. And they always think like, oh man, there's going to be a time when you guys are all going to implode or whatever, right? And so I get asked this a lot. And if before Mind Pump, I would be super anti the partnership. I was trying to count while you were talking, Sal, and I counted off the top of my head at least 5 partnerships that I've done businesses with, and none of those businesses still exist today. So obviously, even though I might have been semi-successful while they were running and making good money, they all ended in either the business dissolving and potentially some of them actually it ended up in no longer having friendships with some of these people that I had relationships with. So it's never really ended well for me with business partners. And for the first time in my life, I agree with Sal that it's never worked like this. And so I think it really can be an absolute destruction and explosion, or it can be absolute fireworks. And I think that we lucked out and I shouldn't use luck because I don't think it's luck. I think it's a combination of the 4 men in this room and their experiences over the last 30 plus years of their life that has just, we came together at the right time. I think as massive of egos and confidence that we all have, it's equaled in humility and the ability to step aside and let another partner take charge in a part of the business that you know. Because here's the thing, and this was a little bit of a challenge I felt like when we first started. I think we were all kind of finding our rhythm, because any person in this room could literally do any part of the job. Hence, except for maybe Doug. Like, Doug has a part of this business that, you know, he has the most power because there's certain things that he can turn on and off that the rest of us just fucking have no clue. So we would be fucked without Doug, no doubt. He's for sure the most irreplaceable out of all of us. But nonetheless, every person in this room can pretty much run all aspects of this business. So the question now becomes, like, who does what? And what the humility part that has came in with this partnership is we have the ability to say, hey, Sal's doing something. I can look at something that Sal's doing and go, I could do that, or I want to do that. I'm used to taking charge and still doing that. But I have to ask myself, is he better at that, or am I better at that? Even if I'm good at it, like, he's better than I am at that. So I got to let go of that. I got to let go of that and trust that he's got it, and I don't even need to worry about it. And the same thing goes for Justin, and the same thing goes for Doug, and vice versa. So we have this ability to allow each person to take charge of a part of a business, which is hard when you have 4 entrepreneurs, 4 visionaries that are used to handling all aspects of a business. But it's been amazing, and it's been important though. And this is something I just did an interview recently, and we got into my childhood and stuff, and we talked about some of the strengths that I have as an adult now that have stemmed from, you know, some of the turmoil that I went through as a kid. And one of those things is the ability to build relationships with people. And I pride myself on this ability to build really strong relationships with a lot of really good people. And I have believed that I have harnessed this skill to see the best in everybody. I see that in the worst of people, I see the best in them. And I feel like we have a collection of about 9 people within Mind Pump right now that all are very unique and special in different ways, and we really allow them to express their strengths. And I think we would have to have been here in our lives in order for this to work. I don't know if we could have made that happen at 25 years old or not.
I don't think so. I mean, there's a multitude of factors to that. I mean, there's the fact that we all had our own individual pursuits before this, where, like you'd mentioned, I had multiple partnerships. I'd gone through other businesses and gone down certain paths and figured out what wasn't working, where it all kind of stopped. And a lot of the times it was communication. And communication, I know that we all share on a daily basis. I mean, we sit here on the mics and we talk, but literally this is most of it we get out there in the open. And I feel like if you don't have the kind of relationship with somebody where you can literally talk about anything, like, I mean, it doesn't even matter if it's a relationship going on, with your significant other, like whatever's going to affect you kind of coming into the business is going to affect the business. And it's a very unique thing that each one of us sort of share. And plus, like you'd mentioned with, the humility factor. So, being able to be strong and confident, but then realize that, where somebody is better than you, right? Like not letting that affect you in a negative way, just bettering yourself at your strengths is something that I think that is a real big challenge for people, because it's like you're known, like I'm always known for taking care of all this myself. Like I've always done this myself. Like now to let somebody else run with that, and then I'm trying to like find my way in this direction. It's tough, but you know what? Like if you can find all of that, like, and if you've gone through the process of failing and putting yourself out there, putting yourself on the line, letting other people critique the way you do things and judge you, and you can be resilient enough to handle that, then a partnership might make sense.
Yeah, and there's a few good lessons to learn. It took me. I mean, like I said, all of us have been through partnerships, and some of these lessons you learn later on. But it's like, here's a good one. Here's a good example. I'm going to make it more concrete. Let's say you and your business partner have a disagreement over marketing. Let's say they think it's a great idea to do a particular marketing strategy and they want to invest $30,000. You think it's a terrible idea. You don't think you're going to get any returns. You debate, you go back and forth, and at the end of it, you reluctantly agree to let your partner invest $30,000 in this marketing. You think to yourself, I don't know if I really fully believe in it, but you're really, for it, so I'm going to be reluctant. We're going to invest the $30,000. Let's say they invested $30,000 and you lose most of it. You barely get any return. Here's what you don't do afterwards. You don't go back and be like, I fucking told you so. You should listen to me. I'm the man. You know what you should do is you realize you both made that decision. Yeah. At the end of it, you go, well,
You're
fuck.
a team.
We both decided. I know that was what you were pushing, but I'm part of this team, and we all share the fucking victories and we all share the failures together. And that's a big mistake. That's a big area where people fuck up with partners is they only share the victories. But nobody
flashbacks, dude.
Nobody wants to share the failures. Nobody wants to share the
painful partnerships.
It's true. Nobody wants to share the failures. But it's more important to share the look, here's the deal. Like if we do a project and Justin's leading it and I may disagree with it or whatever, and then it fucking crushes, we're going to share the victory, but at the end of it, I'm going to tell Justin, that's fucking you, man. You did a great job with that. Guess what happens if it fails? I'm going to take full responsibility along with him because that's what it means to be
Instead
partners.
of pointing the finger.
Instead of pointing the finger, we share in the failure, and that's the part where people fuck up because at some point, and I can say this for us too, unless we have a perfect streak for the rest of our lives, which is highly unlikely, at some point, we're going to fuck up business. We're going to make a big mistake. Something's going to happen. It's going to be a learning experience for us. And it's going to be something that one of us or two of us was fully invested in and the other guys maybe disagree, whatever. But at the end of it, I know the team that we have. At the end of it, we're all going to be like, all right, this is all of us. We all did this together. Let's move forward. And you have to feel that because just like a relationship with just like a marriage, where divorces happen and why marriages typically fail? Because small resentment is allowed to build over time, and it turns into fucking large resentment. And then, the other person does something small, but it feels so big because you resent all this other bullshit. That happens in business too, and that's why you can't let that happen because business is fucking hard. It's challenging as hell.
I really like it's a short, almost day read. I think I read it in 2 days or something like that. Is Mark Cuban's the Business of Sports or Sports of Business? I can't remember which one it is. It's Mark Cuban's book though. And I do believe that we have fostered this culture within our business, and that there is no touchy subjects. There's no place that one person can't go either. Is that we encourage this debate and argument about something. We really do encourage that. Here's the thing: if you feel that something is a bad idea or you don't like something and you don't speak up, then it does exactly what Sal says. Then you bury it. And then it starts to build and build and build.
You wait for that moment to lash out
later. And then it turns into animosity, and then it turns into pointing the fingers. If you can create a culture within your partnership, whether it's a single partnership or a multiple partnership like we have, where because it's inevitable. I mean, we've definitely had yelling matches, and we've had many disagreements. We have many things that have never been How to Win. That's what it's called. Sorry, thank you, Doug. I thought How to Win at the Sports of Business. If you have these disagreements and you find a way to, at least get it out and communicate it, I think that you're already winning half the battle. I think most people are afraid to have that friction and afraid to have that conversation. I think if you can start to do that and you have a partner that can embrace that and their ego isn't so fragile that they're going to take it personally, because it's not personal when any of us, if someone brings an idea forward and one of us goes, no, I disagree, or, oh, I don't like that, or I think that's wrong. I'm not attacking you, or he's not attacking me. He's thinking about the better of the business, and now I want to hear what he has to say. Well, why? Why do you think that's wrong? Well, tell me. And then, well, I think this is going to happen, and people aren't going to like that. They're going to receive it this way. No, I disagree. And we'll go back and forth like that. But it's never about being right.
Yeah. And then when the decision's done, leave it.
Right.
It's done. We've decided. Let's move forward now.
Yeah, we've all decided, right? Yeah, and if it fails, we all fucking decided.
And that's why that's why partnerships
play out.
Typically fail because how hard is it to find one person who understands that, let alone, another person, another partner. And that's why it can be very, very, very difficult.
Next question is from Kristen Sala. How do you approach isolation exercises when training in a low rep range? Should I just do compound movements in a low rep range and isolation work in the mid range? Or is it okay to do heavy lateral raises, skull crushers, etc.?
Yeah, you know what I love about resistance training is that there's definitely these general rules, but then they don't apply to everything.
Yeah.
And some of the stuff I can explain, some of the stuff I can't, and I can kind of try. But here's a good example. Some movements and some exercises lend themselves well to low reps, and others don't.
Yeah.
There's just nothing.
Bottom line.
Bottom line, like low rep training and training in the low rep range has got value for anybody, especially if you never train in it. It's going to build strength and muscle and connectivity, especially if you never train in that range. When you do, you're going to get great results when you spend some time there, like between 3 to 6 weeks. But that doesn't apply to everything. Some exercises just don't work well with low reps, and it's usually the isolation movements. They just don't work super well in low reps. Like, you'll never see me doing sets of 2 or 3 reps with curls. Yeah. It's just not going to happen. Or lateral raises. It's just not going to happen. And the true is on the flip side. Some exercises don't lend themselves super well to super high reps. Mm-hmm. Like, you're not going to see me do 30 sets of burnout reps with deadlifts. I'm typically not going to do that. As my form breaks down, my injury risk starts to go through the roof. So when it comes to heavy low rep ranges, now I'm talking about below six reps.
Because five bicep curls is totally fine.
Yeah, I'm talking about the low reps.
Yeah,
right?
There's no reason to be doing singles, doubles, or triples. And it's not, and again, and I know you're saying this, but it doesn't mean it's wrong. It just doesn't lend itself well. It's just your time is better spent probably doing that with your big compound movements versus these tricep push downs, bicep curls, and she used he or she is it a girl? A girl used a lateral raise. So 2 or 3 reps on lateral raises really doesn't lend itself well, because if you're trying to do a lateral raise, you're trying to isolate a very small part of the shoulder that's responsible for a very small movement. When you try and swing heavy weights up to your side, it's almost impossible to not incorporate the bigger muscles. That's how the body works. The body says, it doesn't say when you all of a sudden because I want to do a lateral raise and because I perform the pathway, it's gonna isolate that part of the muscle. That's not how the body works. The body says, get these weights up to the side of me as easily as possible, and if that means incorporating the bigger, stronger muscles, it's going to do that. So it's really challenging to take a very small muscle with a very small, intricate movement like a lateral raise and think that you're going to get crazy benefits trying to isolate that, because what's going to end up happening is the traps, the rhomboids, other parts of the muscle, bigger muscles are going to take over the movement.
It's damn near impossible to tease that out. I mean, to really isolate just that one small muscle group and do that in a way where you're really accelerating the amount of force production that you're providing your entire body, and then you're trying to localize that in a single joint movement. It just, I mean, it's not to say it can't be done, but it's just not.
It's not advantageous.
Yeah, it's not advantageous. Like to focus on gross motor movements with that is way more ideal, because now what you're doing is if we're trying to summon this amount of force production, and I want to get all my body involved in that process, and it's a lot more effective, and the single joint movement is great as an accessory to the overall gross movement.
Yeah, and you would have to be a very experienced, very connected person to do really, really low reps effectively with isolation movements. I think I could do it, but I would literally have to sit there and fucking be perfect and focused.
There's just so much to focus on.
Yeah, like imagine doing a set of 2 with the heavy side laterals. First of all, it wouldn't be as heavy as I think it would be, because the second I'd actually go heavy, my form would go shit. So the reality is it probably wouldn't be that much heavier. It'd just be super controlled and perfect with my form.
Right.
And then the other thing too is, a lot of the benefit you get with the low rep is that whole CNS adaptation. Using more muscles is more advantageous for something like that, because it's not really creating lots of damage, not a lot of reps. So if I'm doing a heavy, 2 reps with a skull crusher, am I going to get a lot of muscle building from it? I'll probably get more tricep building from a heavy bench press with 2 reps than I will from a skull crusher, with 2 reps.
I see a lot more value just in like isometric holds. If I'm going single joint and I'm trying to ramp up my, force production, like that's something that's, it is controllable and it is something that you could do safely to where you're not your compensatory patterns aren't going to just jump in and have your entire body kind of get thrown out and you're going to get you're not going to be able to perform it at the best ability you can.
Yeah, I remember I learned this lesson with deadlifts a long time ago where I was feeling really, really strong. I was super hyped. I was probably, 28 or something like that. And I put 315 on the bar. And my goal was I was going to do 10 reps. I was going to do 10 sets of 10 reps with a 45-second rest in between. Okay, so it sounds fucking insane, right? Well, it was. And I was fried and crippled I couldn't deadlift for like 3 weeks. And that's when I learned some exercises just don't operate. And it's not like my form was wrong. Just when with a deadlift, you are frying yourself with that much volume. It's different on your body than if I did like a bunch of bench press or even a bunch of squats, which I feel like the body can handle a lot more volume on squats. So this is all learned through experience because on paper it doesn't make sense. On paper you think, well, what's the difference?
Well, and on paper and in reality that it's not you can't do it. It's not that there's not any benefit from it. Like there is, and there's all rules can be broken, right? And that's the hard thing about what we do is what ends up, and I'm always very careful about how we answer a question like this because I never want to all of a sudden, Mind Pump says you should never do. Oh, yeah. Right. No, I'm not saying that.
Somebody could present a good case for it.
Right. There's always exceptions to the rule, and if someone with great mechanics and you've never done that before, have I done that? 100%. I've done a single or a double barbell bicep curl. I've done it. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't do it a lot because
every guy's done that.
Right.
Right. Just want to know how much.
I want to see if I could curl the 45s. I mean, that was really the desired outcome is like, so people look over and see me curling 45s on a barbell. It looks fucking cool. Well, but I mean, as far as it being advantageous, like we're talking about, there's better ways to spend your time in the gym. And I think that's the argument that we're trying to make. Not that we're in a camp of, you should never do that. It's, hey, there's a lot of other things that I think your time is better well spent doing.
Next question is from Pete Sabra Music. Do you have an opinion on using CLA and L-carnitine as an aid to burning fat?
I'm gonna get controversial here.
As an aid to burning fat?
Yeah, like fat burning supplements.
Okay.
So here's a little
break it down.
Here's a little controversy for you. This is only controversial because there's so much money being made selling fat burners. Over-the-counter supplemental fat burners are pretty much an entire waste of money and time. They don't aid in the body's ability to burn body fat. They're not going to make you. They're not going to make you lose weight. Here's the controversial part. If you want to take a supplement that's going to actually help your body burn body fat, take a supplement that's going to help you build muscle. And there's really only one that I can think about that if you took, it's going to help with this process, and that's creatine. Honest to God. Creatine is probably the best fat-burning supplement you're going to find over the counter.
No, that's a great way to spend that.
Why? Like that. Now, why is that?
Because if you add more muscle, your body now needs to use more calories every day.
Metabolism,
that's it.
Right? Yeah, everything.
That's it. Because creatine is the most widely studied ergogenic supplement. There's thousands and thousands of studies in literature on creatine. It's been proven to be exceptionally safe. It's not perfectly safe, but it's exceptionally safe. And it builds muscle very consistently, strengthen muscle very consistently in every study. It's pretty much the only supplement that comes with that kind of a guarantee. It's not 100% because there are people who are non-responders and people that get gastro issues from creatine. But for 8 out of 10 you listening right now, if you take creatine, you're going to get stronger right away, and you're going to build muscle at a faster rate. And because you're building more muscle, it is going to speed up your metabolism faster than if you didn't take it. And as a result of that faster metabolism, you are going to burn more calories and burn more body fat. And so if I were to compare creatine over a 6-month period to other fat burners, I'd bet my car that creatine would kill them all. in terms of the fat burning, even though it's an indirect
Well, be
fat burning
careful.
effect.
You don't have a Jetta anymore.
That's true.
Be careful.
I'll bet my old car.
Yeah.
No, I think that's an incredible argument that you just made, and a great way to make it is just simply that is, I mean, most fat burners that you see on the market, the main ingredient in there that is doing the work, or that's the studies back up, is it's affecting your central nervous system. It's the stimulant. Right? Because it has you could take caffeine and tease it out in a study and show how it's a great fat burner. Sure. Right? Because when you're on caffeine, you have more energy, you're more jittery, you're moving more. If you're moving more, you're burning more calories.
It's also appetite suppressant.
Yes, I can. So then, therefore, I can show that if your body burns X amount more calories per day, I can now throw that in a category of this is a fat burner supplement. And so a lot of the research that goes behind a lot of these supplements is based off of that. And so, yes, head-to-head, if you were to put creatine in that and we looked at it as a calorie-burning supplement and which one technically would burn more calories in a heads-up study, you would see the fat burners. You could tease that out to make it look like it's better. But in reality, the argument that you're making, Sal, I think is far better and is true, is that, hey, if you end up adding 2 pounds of muscle on your body, I mean, for every pound of muscle that we add in our body, it's somewhere between, and this is another arbitrary number that somebody will debate, but it's somewhere between 30 and 80 more calories a day that your body utilizes. That's a big difference. That's a major difference for somebody, and a long-term effect that you're going to get by adding.
That's just being there, sitting there. You don't even have to do extra cardio. You're just burning more calories. And it's a far better approach towards the problem of, burning calories and speeding up your metabolism. And that's the thing too. It's like, okay, let's say you take a stimulant and let's say it does effectively cause your body to burn more calories by stimulating your body to do so. At some point, and it happens very quickly, your body will adapt to that because your body doesn't, you stimulate your central nervous system with a stimulant. You get this adaptive response where you start to down-regulate receptors. Your body stops producing as many of the catecholamines that get released from your whatever fat burner that you're taking. And so after about 2 weeks, you've lost that effect. Now, in comparison, if you built extra muscle, you just continue to burn more calories. As long as you keep that muscle, your body will continue to burn more calories. So the strategy for fat loss should be around speeding up the metabolism, more so than it should be around
But that's a longer-term strategy. I mean, I feel like I could see somebody like that has reserves towards that, like that strategy as far as adding in creatine, and they think that now I'm going to be retaining all this water and I'm going to get this bloat and all this to go with it, right? Which their whole entire goal is to burn fat, and so that would be something that I could see as sort of a barrier in that thought process.
And by the way, like the water that you gain from creatine is not bloat, right? No. It's intracellular or intramuscular.
It volumizes the cell. The cell holds on to more water.
You'll actually look leaner. Although the scale might go up a couple pounds, you'll actually look leaner in the mirror because your muscles are fuller and giving you the appearance of more definition. So, and that's the thing too. That's why creatine isn't sold as a fat burner, even though I promise you it burns more fat than fat burners.
I totally agree, but I could just see your average person being like, "Well, I don't want to."
Well, if you get a woman that buys a fat burner that has creatine in it, and then they take it, and then the scale goes up a pound. Fuck, this fat burner sucks. Yeah. It's not going to work, and it doesn't work. Right. Not understanding what's actually happening. But fat burners. I mean, and here's the other thing. This is why a lot of people like fat burners. They make you hyper. Right. Who doesn't like to be hyper? It feels great. I like it too. Trust me. I used to take ephedra. What a great fucking feeling that is. You're hyper. You're on fire. You're running around. You feel like
you take too much.
Until your body builds a tolerance to it, and then you feel normal taking it. And then when you go off, you feel like a zombie. And you get that kind of rebound as a result. So that's why people like them. The other thing, too, is they tend to suppress your appetite in a short period of time. Again, you take a bunch of stimulants. You're not going to want to eat as much. ADD medication does this, prescription ADD medication. You go on some Adderall or Ritalin, and people will lose weight on those as well, but it's because they eat less as a result of being on. But they're not true. Here's the thing. They're not true fat burners. They're not burning fat. They may suppress your appetite, or they may make you feel hyper so you move more, but they're not true fat burners. Creatine is kind of a true fat burner in the sense that it's making you build muscle, and then that muscle then burns more calories.
And I would tell somebody who likes the feeling that they get from the fat burners, and that's why they take it, save your money and go invest in just straight caffeine pills.
Yeah. Exactly.
Get straight caffeine pills and take some caffeine pills for probably a quarter of the price as like your average fat burner that's on the market, and take a few of those and watch how stimulated you feel, and you'll feel a very similar effect as far as what you think you feel from this fat burner that you're spending probably $50 to $70 on.
Now to talk about the two specific supplements that they mentioned, CLA is a type of a fatty acid, and it does act on a pathway that theoretically will get your body to burn more body fat. Studies have shown that it's pretty much a waste of money. It doesn't really do anything for people, and they've done lots of studies on CLA. Carnitine, also similar. There may be some benefit for mitochondrial health and some cognitive benefits, especially in people that don't consume lots of carnitine containing type foods like dairy and meat. But again, I could really only see the benefit in maybe a vegan who isn't consuming lots of these, amino acids because their diet may be low in protein. But if you've got adequate protein intake and you're eating otherwise healthy food, it reminds me of like MCT oil. There was some studies that showed that medium chain triglycerides burn body fat. So people then were adding medium chain triglycerides to their dishes, thinking it was going to help them burn body fat, and then were shocked to find that they actually gained body fat. Well, the studies with MCT oil is not adding it to the diet; it's replacing some of their current fat with medium chain triglycerides. And because medium chain triglycerides tend to get turned into energy, if you take out a bunch of vegetable oil and replace it with MCT oil, you may lose some weight. But if you add it, you're just adding calories. Yeah,
that's silly.
It's not going to do anything for it. Even the black market fat burners like clenbuterol, even that, is not going to do much. Even if I gave clenbuterol to the average person, besides feeling like shit, they're not going to notice all this weight loss on the scale. The only benefit is when bodybuilders take it, a few weeks before they compete, and that's because they're already so fucking lean that the smallest difference is going to look more apparent. But to the average person, all that stuff's a waste
Plus,
of money.
that stuff shoots your heart rate up like 400 times.
It's terrible.
I've ran that before, and I tell you, when you take clenbuterol, it leans you out all right, but it's because my fucking heart feels like I'm going to have a heart attack all day long.
Actually, some studies will show heart
Not
damage.
scary at all.
Well, no, it literally gets you racing. I mean, out of all the different drugs that I've messed around with and tried, like clenbuterol was one of the craziest things that I took, and I took that after one of my show or right before one of my shows. And man, it did lean me out like crazy, but what it did was it made my heart racing. And so I can feel, it took me, and it felt that way for a good 8 to 12 hours of the day, where just imagine being
anxious.
Anxious all day long. Like you don't sit still, moving all day long. And that's really where the benefits of the fat burning comes from. It's not like clenbuterol goes in my system, targets fat, and dissolves fat in my body. That's not how it works. It makes me so goddamn anxious all day long. You can't sit still because you feel like you're on crack.
Yeah. At some point, I'm sure we're going to discover some drug or some maybe microbiome therapy that's going to help people burn body fat. But until we get to that point, you got to do it the old-fashioned way.
It'll be poo pills.
Eat better and exercise properly, and that's pretty much it. Look, if you want any more information from Mind Pump, we have a bunch of guides, and they cost nothing. They're totally free. Just go to mindpumpfree.com, download any of our guides. The latest one I just released, I believe, was how to work and develop your delts, your shoulders.
Thank you for listening to Mind Pump. If your goal is to build and shape your body, dramatically improve your health and energy, and maximize your overall performance, check out our discounted RGB Super Bundle at mindpumpmedia.com. The RGB Super Bundle includes MAPS Anabolic, MAPS Performance, and MAPS Aesthetic. 9 months of phased expert exercise programming designed by Sal, Adam, and Justin to systematically transform the way your body looks, feels, and performs. With detailed workout blueprints and over 200 videos, the RGB Super Bundle is like having Sal, Adam, and Justin as your own personal trainers, but at a fraction of the price. The RGB Super Bundle has a full 30-day money-back guarantee, and you can get it now plus other valuable free resources at mindpumpmedia.com. If you enjoy this show, please share the love by leaving us a 5-star rating and review on iTunes and by introducing Mind Pump to your friends and family. We thank you for your support, and until next time, this is Mind Pump.